Have you ever noticed how millennials got labeled lazy, entitled, like they don't want to work, like they are the problem? Meanwhile, they've spent their entire adult life walking through one economic mess after another. But yeah, must be the attitude, right? If you've ever been told your generation just doesn't want it bad enough, go ahead and hit like, follow, and share before we get into it, because this one might hit just a little closer than people are comfortable with. It's Labor Lines, let's get after it. Let's actually look at the timeline instead of just repeating what everybody says. Millennials came up around 9/11. Then not long after that, the housing market collapsed and the Great Recession hit. Jobs dried up. You couldn't buy an entry-level position. Careers stalled out before they were ever really getting started. And all the stuff people were told growing up, go to school, work hard, you'll be fine, suddenly doesn't line up with reality. So what do? You take whatever job you can get. Maybe it's not what you'd planned, it might not pay enough, and chances are it doesn't lead anywhere, but you take it anyway because that's what you're supposed to do. Then just as things start to level out a little bit, just as people start to get their footing underneath them, COVID hits and shuts everything down again. Businesses close, hours get cut, people get laid off, and now you've got a generation that didn't just deal with one instability, they dealt with it over and over again at the exact time they were trying to rebuild their lives. It wasn't bad enough that so many people lost their homes in the housing crash of the aughts, but then to spend the next decade slowly getting out of it for COVID to take you out at the knees. So when people say millennials don't want to work, you've got to stop and ask, what exactly are you looking at? Because they've been working this whole time. They've just been doing it inside a system that seems more like a nightmare than a stable economy. But here's where this starts to shift, and this is the part people don't like to talk about enough. While millennials are trying to move up, trying to get better jobs, trying to get some kind of stability, there's something else happening at the same time. People are working longer. They're retiring later, or not retiring at all. And I'm not technically saying this is a bad thing. I think it's great that modern medicine has allowed people to live longer and better lives, but the downside is never getting the career you always wanted or deserve. And look, it's not random. Everything costs more now. Retirement doesn't stretch like it used to. Healthcare is expensive. Savings don't go as far, so people stay in the workforce longer. So it makes sense. But now look at what that creates on the other side of it. You've got millennials trying to move up into better positions, trying to finally get into roles where they can make a decent living, and those spots aren't opening up the way they used to, because the people above them are still in them. And somehow the takeaway from all this is that they're lazy. No, they're not lazy. They're working, they're just not getting ahead. And that's a completely different problem, because when you can put in the hours, do what you're told, stay consistent, and still feel like you're not moving anywhere, eventually you're going to start asking questions. You start looking at it and thinking, what exactly am I working towards here? Where does this actually lead? Is this even worth it in the long term? And that's the part that makes people uncomfortable, because once those questions start getting asked, you can't just fall back on blaming the worker anymore. Now you've got to go look at the system that they're working inside of, a system where wages haven't kept up with the cost of living, where opportunities don't open up the same way they used to, and where even doing everything right doesn't guarantee you end up in a better spot. But instead of dealing with any of that, we simplify it down to nobody wants to work anymore, because that makes it easier. It keeps the focus on the worker, and it keeps the pressure off the people and the structures that actually set the rules. And here's the reality. If you take a generation, put them through repeated instability, limit how they can move up, and make everything more expensive at the same time, they're not going to stop working. They're going to start questioning what they're working for, and that's not laziness, that's awareness. So when you hear someone say, millennials just don't want to work, ask them this: are they not working, or are they working inside something that isn't giving back what it used to? Because those are two very different things, and only one of them actually points to the real problem. Next week, we're going to talk about Gen Z, the generation that watched all of this happen in real time and decided to approach work a little differently. Don't forget to like, follow, and share before you go. This is Labor Lines with Alex. As always, my good friends, be safe, be productive, be well.